Greetings and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with a 1v1 battle featuring a spawning in the east. Playing as the Wehrmacht forces, it is going to be Luciano. And spawning in the west, playing as the Soviet forces, it is going to be Wuff. Luciano, I think I may have cast once or twice before. But if so, it's definitely been a long time. Can't really remember his playstyle or that much about his the way he approaches the game. Wuff, I'm pretty sure I've never cast before, so welcome to the channel, buddy. And we'll have to see what he's going to bring in. Looks like he's actually going to go and pick his commander at this very early juncture. He has locked in the guard rifle combined arms tactics, which honestly I haven't seen for quite a long time. It has hit the dirt, which those of you who were playing the game on and around release will remember was quite OP when the game launched, but these days considerably fixed. Guards rifle infantry, conscript assault package upgrade, two very nice things to have. The ML20 gun howitzer. Pretty spicy, but not often that we actually see it used that much, although, you know, that's that's kind of like borderline a complaint because it's such a cool unit to actually see used. It does add a lot of spice to games and it's quite fun. Probably pro players don't really like it because it's quite RNG based, and it can also be taken out by just using a recon Stuka and then a you know, any kind of a call in like an incendiary strike or a Stuka bomb. Pardon me. So yeah, we'll have to see what Wuff is going to make happen. Oh, sorry, it also has the IL-2 Sturmovik attacks. Let's see what Luciano's locking and loading with here. Let's see, he's got the Mechanized Assault Doctrine, the Mobile Defense Doctrine, and the Blitzkrieg Doctrine. Wow, those are three very, very spicy commandos. Commanders, sorry. Imagine that. Imagine if these three guys got together and were like some elite commando team. They could use like Mechanized Assault guy would be like, I will provide the half-track. And Mobile Defense guys like, I will be the gunner. And then Blitzkrieg guy would clearly be the driver because he's Blitzkrieg, man. He can like drive really fast. They'd be like the A-team, only much more German, and there's only 3 of them. What am I talking about? Magpie, jeez, get your head in the game here. We've got MG42 in a building, hooning down some engineers, what are, on a bridge, and are now falling back. Looks like Luciano gonna be going, so he's gone 2 Grenadiers, MG42, though not in that order. He's gone Grenadier, MG42, I think. I wasn't actually paying that much attention. And now he's going into a GR34 mortar squad, so... sorry. Diversifying his lineup here very nicely. And this is a nice little compact force here for Luciano. I do like it. Wuff looks like he's going conscript heavy for now. Nice Ura here, going to deny the cover on this building, leaving these Grenadiers exposed in the open, sandwiched between 2 conscript squads. Never where they want to be, so they're going to fall on back just now. Grabbing themselves some cover. There we go, they're going to fall back. And we've got some pioneers here capping in the south. Another skirmish up here in the north. At this range, you would have thought the conscripts would, pardon me, would take this. But these Grenadiers are actually trading very well, as Grenadiers are wont to do. Conscripts here going to close on up to point-blank range, but this is now 3 Grenadiers against 3 conscripts, so I think the Grenadiers will take this. And let's have a looky here. Got some engineers capping up here. Let's check the tech here for the Soviet player. So he's getting medics now. No sign of Molotovs or AT grenades, although it is very early for either of those. And to be honest, let's face it, Molotovs haven't really been in fashion for so long. Have a drink on me! Not heard that for some time. And let me see. Just kind of waiting for this battle to get underway in earnest right now. Some awkward skirmishing, but I mean, let's crack the tack, and you can see the story here. Basically, Wuff has actually been able to take the majority of field control. Luciano has some points down here in the south, but they aren't connected, so his resource situation is fairly dire right now. And the Soviet player does have, you know, decent map control, and crucially on this map, of course, it's Semiosky Winter, by the way, didn't mention that earlier. But he's controlling this area here, which makes it very hard for the eastern spawning player to move on out. Mortar's also just hooning on into these conscripts, so that is going to have to cause them to give up this building. The GR34 proving its usefulness again. How much veterancy on this thing? Yeah, already clocking up some damage, despite those conscripts being A, very cheap, and B, in a building. So that's pretty good. Got a little fight here, some conscripts and some grenadiers going at each other. Let's see, we're coming up to the 5-minute mark here, so let's check the tech for the Axis player. We've got... Okay, so Battle Phase 1 has just finished, and we can probably expect to see the Leichter Mechanized Company being constructed by those pioneers that Luciano has fallen back in a timely manner to construct that building, I imagine. GR34 getting in across the river here, moving into... I mean, definitely a reasonable position. I mean, it's got a line-of-sight blocker around a large area, but the Soviet player is going to figure out where this is very quickly, so this could actually be quite exposed. He's going to have to be careful here, is Luciano. This is, like, I would say definitely a forward position. Possibly if he wanted to play this slightly safer, but have similar range and advantage. Just here, tucked in behind the wall is quite nice. So, I don't know. I think he probably knows a lot better than I do, though, and I think he's just fine putting that there. This is very strange for the Soviet player. Like, what is going on back here? Okay, so the support weapon Campanile is now being established. That'll finish momentarily. And then he's going to need some more stuff, because this Axis army is not only bigger, but better than the Soviet army. So some catching up is needed. Looks like guards here at the 2 command point limit here being brought in. So I think Wuff was doing that old thing where you stock up a load of manpower and then bring in guards when you have the option to do so. As we've seen other good players do on this map. So the guards, rifle infantry, going to be coming on out. And, yeah, they're definitely going to be needed. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Grenadiers versus conscripts. Place your bets. Oh, dear. This has to be the best fight ever. Okay, there we go. Looks like the conscripts are actually just going to take that one. But Luciano, to his credit, is slowly eking out a foothold in the middle of the map. We've got Grenadiers capping, MG42 still in a nice building here. We've got the GR34 on support. He could move that just to here and it would have slightly better arcs, but I mean, that's a really small point. Actually, you know what? It's probably... yeah, it's probably about the same where it is anyway. I just... Whenever I use indirect fire units, right, it's particularly light guns and mortar squads, I'm always looking to bring them as far forward as possible so that they can do the most possible, you know, cover the most possible range and hoon on the enemies at the maximum possible sort of distance. And, like, don't get me wrong, I don't do it, like, dangerously. I'm not reckless with it. I won't, like, put them up against fog of war. I'll always have supporting units providing that line of sight and that sort of buffer around them and also giving them enough time to sort of relocate and or fall back if needs be. But I am always looking to pick up and move my mortars and bring them just a little further forwards, because having that extra bit of range just, it helps them just get that veterancy and get extra shots. And basically, the effectiveness of an indirect fire squad, like a mortar squad, is basically measured in the number of shots it takes. Because you can't control whether those shots land on target or not, but you want it to be taking as many shots as possible. You want to roll the dice and try and get as many hits as you can. So to that end, yeah, I guess I'm always just looking to kind of position my mortars just to, you know, creep them forwards every time. Anyway, Flamer squad going to be coming on up here. Nice flank. The MG42 is positioned to hoon on these conscripts. But the engineers here with the Flamer going to come on in, and that is going to force the MG42 away. Now, the MG42 is going to escape. Kind of slightly lucky there for Luciano. A couple of rifle rounds skimming past him. Could have wiped the squad. Yep, he's going to get that MG42 out of there, and that is kind of crucial. Pack gun also on the field now. Looks like that's going to be the weapon of choice from the Leichter Mechanized Company. Going to be safeguarding him against future armor investments from the Soviet player. Possibly a little bit early, but then again, the Soviet player has had quite a lot of field control this game. And if we check the tech for the Soviet player, we can see the Tank of E Battalion Command is coming on, and he has that 70 fuel which he needs for the T-70. I believe it's 70 fuel. Or is it 60? We'll check. So, yeah, this pack gun actually very well timed here from Luciano. And, wow, I don't know. The army of the Soviet player just looks really small. This is not enough squads. He's lost his Flamer squad somewhere. I did miss that, I'm afraid. Sorry. The engineers with the Flamer, I guess that must have been a mortar. Possible wipe on a 2-star Grenadier squad. Probable wipe, actually, with this amount of conscripts firing at him. Wow! Wow! Okay, there we go. He goes down at nearly maximum range from these conscripts. But kind of amazed that that guy nearly got out. Anyway, here comes the T-70, which, by the way, costs... Yeah, it does cost 70 fuel. There we go. So where did those Flamer engineers go down? I'm looking for some Soviet corpses. They were, like, in this area. I'm guessing that was a lucky GR34 hit. Could have been a rifle grenade or something like that. Not really sure. But anyway, yeah. So the engineers were lost for Wuff. Luciano's army still very much intact and looking very nice. The MG42 now reinforced, moving out to cover this bridge. Going to force back some conscripts, which, by the way, of course, is it 3 CPs, I believe? You get the conscript assault package. And Wuff's here is going to be taking full advantage of the PPSH assault package upgrade. You can see it beginning to appear on his conscript squads, and that actually does make them significantly more spicy. I really like commanders who give the conscripts that PPSH package, because conscripts are very good, and since they fixed veterancy, they're actually really like just a very, very good squad. But they do sort of still, because they have no weapons upgrades, unless you manage to pick up something with them, they do kind of feel like they lack relevance as the mid-game becomes the late game. Kind of, you know, round about the 20-25 minute mark, your conscripts just kind of start feeling a little bit pants. Whereas with the PPSH upgrade, you know, they can always represent significant pressure, significant momentum, and basically force Axis units to have to displace in front of them. So that's just a really nice tool to have. Anyway, T-70 here gets its engine broken very rapidly here. Pings back a squad of Grenadiers, but that's going to be it. I'm sure Wuff had higher hopes for the plucky light tank, but not gonna be able to get anything done just now. Engineers are on the scene though, so they can repair. The victory point situation, BT dubs. It's 472 for Wuff's 443. Sorry, other way around. It's 443 for Wuff's 471 for Luciano, which kind of actually surprises me quite considerably. It seems as though Wuff has had a considerable amount of field control this game, but Luciano has always held that southern VP and clearly has held the middle one for slightly longer than Wuff's. So yeah, Luciano finds himself with a reasonable, well, a small but, you know, nice to have victory point lead. MG42 set up here in a reasonable position. GR34 behind the building is nice. Here comes the T70 on flanking duty, though, and Luciano's going to have to respond to this. The PaK-40's here, but this building represents a pretty good line of sight blocker. These Grenadiers going to get a Panzerfaust, though. Bang! And now the T70 is very much stricken in front of the PaK gun. That is almost certainly a dead T70. Urgh! Speaking of dead units, these engineers getting gibbed by the GR34. Absolutely gibbed. That was like how many that just died in one hit? Like 3 engineers, I think, maybe 4, dying in one GR34 shell. So Luciano getting some fantastic connections out of his GR34. Those guys definitely in need of a pay rise. Going up to 1-star veterancy, but what's this? They've been flanked by some conscripts. A lot of damage coming onto them. He's going to need to probably fall them back. No, looks like Luciano going to be brave. Just pick up the mortar and try and relocate here to the south. Grenadier's going to come on in here to cover. And I mean, all of the action, if you look at the minimap, pretty much happening around this location. And Luciano coming up pretty good, I think. If the Soviet player just had some units like eroding these capture points in the south and in the north, this would be fine. But since he doesn't, Luciano is kind of just winning this battle right now, and he'll take back this VP shortly here. The scoreline, as near as makes no difference, even now. 3 tickets in it. Yeah, that seems like, because the fight is all focused on this area, yeah, Luciano's coming out of this looking really, really good. Now, the Soviet player has mixed in a mortar of his own, finally making use of that support weapon Campanaya. So we're going to have the, what is it, the PM41, going to be having a mortar-off with the GR34. Oh no, and a conscript squad getting wiped there as well. Jeez, how do I keep missing these wipes? Really sorry. I mean, I constantly have my eye on the minimap to make sure I'm not missing action and things like that. Such is the life of a caster. I do try my best. But damn, I still have a lot to learn. Anyway, guard squad in this building going to be hooning on these pioneers. Meanwhile, down here in the south, we've got some grenadiers making a bit of a fuel point grab here. But these guard squads, I mean, they've got the DP LMGs purchased now, I believe. Yeah, they do. So, like, the DPS on them is real. Here comes some PPSH conscripts with URA, so that's nasty as well. I'd love to see Wuff get, like, a Maxim or something. Like, I think his army, it looks good. It's small, but good. I mean, he's had a couple of unlucky squad wipes, and he's had to replace his engineers. But I'd quite like to see him get a Maxim gun. Just install it up in this church. Yeah, and that would give him some nice lines of sight. Look to leapfrog it on into this building, or this one. And kind of, you know, establish the chokehold on this key area of the map here. I'd like to see that, but we'll see. I mean, he does have quite a lot of fuel, so spending, you know, taking time out to spend 240 manpower on a machine gun squad, actually probably not the most efficient use of his resources right now. So we'll have to see what Wuff's is going to do. If you look on the minimap, you can see he does actually have his, what is it called, the mechanized, the Tier 4 Soviet building. He's got that one. It's just finished. So we've got the Mechanized Armor Campanaya. Thank you, game. It just appeared on the screen. Fantastic. Don't you love it when that happens? You're just like, oh, what is that? And then, you know, wouldn't it be cool if this happens? And then it just happens. Story of my life. Anyway. Luciano still taking smart fights around here, and because the Soviet player isn't really, like... Okay, I'm just going to move the camera away from the action, but if the Soviet player would just, like, send a squad along here, cross here, and then, like, grab these points, that would be significant pressure, which Luciano would need to respond to. Likewise, he could just send something up to the north and just kind of grab these points. I mean, because Luciano really doesn't have much in the way of resources, so if you were to, you know, grab these ones as well, that would be really good. But look at this, we've got a T-34 on the build queue here from Wuff's. The lesser spotted medium tank, going to be the weapon of choice for our Soviet player here. I mean, let's look at the board here and ask, is this the right choice? I actually think I prefer a Katusha. Yeah, I think I prefer the Katusha. 85 fuel, 80 fuel, 300 manpower. Yeah, I mean, the mirrors makes no difference at the same price. And the reason I like a Katusha is he knows his opponent already has a pack gun. He knows that Luciano is relying on quite a few grenadier squads. So the odds of a Faust pack gun combo coming through are, like, you know, not trivial here. Oh, dearie me, that Soviet mortar there just chalking in a lot of damage onto those grenadiers. But as I was saying, yeah, the reality of his medium tank getting snared and then picked off by a pack gun is, like, that's a very real danger here. Whereas a Katusha, I mean, look how many weapon teams the Axis player has. When Wehrmacht players always have a number of weapon teams. It's one of the Wehrmacht team's strengths is they have very strong weapon teams and they have rapid access to a wide variety of weapon teams. This Mortov now beginning in earnest. Oh, both teams getting a hit. Oh, it's a Mortov here. Oh, here it comes. Oh, that Soviet mortar just proving its superior accuracy, and he's going to pick up and move it, actually. But as I was saying, yeah, the Wehrmacht faction tends to rely on weapon teams to quite a large extent. And their weapon teams are, like, very strong, but they can also be a weakness. And the Katusha is one of the tools that the Soviet player has to exploit that weakness. You know, the Katusha would basically counter everything in this list, and as long as he wasn't absolutely foolish with it, there's no way that the Axis player at the moment has any way of reaching out and touching a Katusha. So... I actually think that this medium tank choice here, a little bit suspect here for Wuff. So that's not to say that the T-34 is not a very powerful unit. Of course it is, and it can do very well on this board. But I would say it's a riskier line of play. You know, you're risking more, and I don't really see the payoff. You know, like, at best, I think this T-34 is going to have the same effect as, you know, a Katusha here. So, seems to me like the Katusha would have been a better line of choice, line of play. Sorry, but I'll shut up about that now because I've been talking about it for some time. Looks like finally Wuff going to send some units up here to reclaim this fuel point, but Grenadiers are already in place, and they're going to start pushing this back. How much munitions, or how many munitions, does Luciano have? The answer is not enough, but I would love to see him get some LMG 42s onto his Grenadiers. That would make me happy. Because his Grenadiers at the moment are okay, but I don't know, against guards, you know, with DPS, with DP LMGs and with, you know, conscripts with PPSHs, it would just be very, very nice to be able to have a very potent infantry weapon that can, like, bring them down at long range. And when you're going up against PPSH conscripts, the ability to mow down one or two of them as they close the distance on you with an LMG 42 is actually pretty spicy. Anyway. Looks like Luciano here gonna choose to go for the Panzer IV, so that obviously means that he has established his support armor core, as you can just see the icon on the minimap here. So yeah, the Panzer IV going to be the choice here. That is going to be tagging up with this pack gun and the Grenadiers to try and answer the T-34 that's on the field right now. Guards are actually going to find and flush this pack gun, but Luciano wisely retreats it towards his MG42. Horrendous grenade comes down, but these guards are actually pinned at the moment, so yeah, that's going to be a fallback right there. The MG42 also going to GTFO, and the pack gun crucially stays. So, getting a lovely penetrating hit there through the frontal armor on the T-34. A Faust connects as well, so the engine on that T-34 is damaged. It's a shame in a way that this Panzer IV didn't arrive just, you know, 30 seconds earlier, because then he could probably chase up for a kill on this T-34, potentially anyway. Anyway, with the T-34 on the retreat, the Soviet player Wuff is going to have to spend some time repairing it, and that means that Luciano has a window of time here, as you can see, where he can move out and try and actually capture this area. He's got a decent window of time here. Whoa, his MG42s both up back here repairing, actually. That's a shame, because he'd love to have them here to support this advance. But anyway, and also it looks like Wuff's hearing the sagely advice of the Magpie through the ether. The wisdom waves are transporting into his brain, and he has selected a Katusha. That's right, Magpie, ever the modest caster. So potent he actually emits wisdom waves, whatever the hell those are. Oh, dearie me. You know, sometimes, not often, but sometimes, I do watch back my own casts, and I kind of like, question my sanity on a semi-regular basis. I'm just like, what are you talking about? You came here to cast Company of Heroes 2, and you're talking about wisdom waves. Like, as a caster, how do you look at yourself in the mirror, Magpie? Anyway, rifle grenade coming down, gonna find these guards. Oh, absolutely brutal, separating all of Vasily's limbs from his body. That is quite a shocking event there. Katusha, though, is going to reveal itself by flailing in a rocket barrage here. But the Grenadiers, looks like Luciano must have heard that firing, so a preemptive fallback there. The building's going to come down, but that's about the extent of the damage here from the Katusha of Wuff. So that's actually not really enough. LMG-42s are beginning now to appear on the Grenadiers. That's fantastic. He's going to be able to look at that thing go. It just rinses through these guards. Like, these Grenadiers are so much more nails now with that LMG and with 3 stars of vet. That is nuts. Panzer IV still on support here. T-34 going to come in for a look here. These guards might try. Do they have some kind of AT grenades? No, but they can button vehicles, of course, with the DP LMGs. But whoa, this guard squad turbo low. The Grenadiers are going to come through for a squad wipe, but they are not going to get it. A squad of PPSH conscripts going to force those 3-star Grenadiers back. And now we've got a medium tank battle going on here. The Panzer IV versus the T-34. Panzer IV got a damage lead at the moment, so the Soviet player going to pull back. Looks like Luciano, no interest in chasing with an unsupported Panzer IV, and you have to say that is absolutely the right call. How many times have you guys all lost tanks, especially Panzer IVs? They seem especially prone to this. How many guys have you lost medium tanks just chasing into a fog of war without support, without any idea of what's going on out there? It's so easy for something to go wrong. All it takes is a mine or an AT grenade in the wrong place, then your tank is stricken, then suddenly it's been hooned on by Zis guns or enemy tanks, and then you've lost one of your most valuable units. And yeah, it's a bad feeling. It's a bad feeling. Don't be doing that, kids. Don't be doing that. Magpie's top tip of the day. Don't be chasing with your tanks into fog of war when you've no idea what's out there and you've nothing to support your tank. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. There are limited times when that's acceptable, but they are very, very rare and far and few between. As I pause here for a sip on my drink. Now let's see now. The Soviet player just reinforcing his units. No interest right now in grabbing the tech building he's missing, and who can blame him? I can't really see the value right now that scout cars, snipers, or penal squads would bring to him. And this is one of the reasons I'm still super hyped about this patch that's coming. There are some changes to penal squads, so hopefully they're going to be more viable. Anyway, Katusha going to be flailing in here. Luciano actually crucially already had his Grenadiers moving out of the blast radius, and they are just going to take up position right on the edge of this rocket barrage. No damage being done. Has that Katusha actually found any damage? Apparently it's found a little bit of damage somewhere. But, wow, these guards actually putting a reasonable amount of damage onto the Panzer IV there, which has to be careful. The T-34 is lurking in the hood, and it does have superior health, but a Pak-40 has it covered, so the Soviet player probably going to be reluctant to commit that T-34 just now. Here come a couple of squad of conscripts down in the south, going to push these Grenadiers back. Meanwhile, up here, a squad of guards going to be grabbing the fuel points, so nice moves there for Wuff. If you look at the map, though, I'd say this story has been like, basically the Soviet player has been dominating the map, but slowly but surely, Luciano, like the Zerg, like creep spreading across the map, has been pushing very slowly back out. And if you look at the top left, look at the top right. I mean, it's 74 supply for Luciano, over 53 for Wuff. A lot of stars of veterancy over all these squads for Luciano. And I'm racking my brains, but I can't remember him suffering a squad wipe this game. So Luciano coming out of this looking pretty smart right now. And again, if you look at the top left, look at the top right, ask yourself, whose army do you prefer? I think it has to be pretty obvious right now. Luciano's army looks damn spicy. That's not to say that Wuff doesn't have a capable and potent army. That's definitely true. It's just not as good as Luciano's right now. So he's going to have to play for time a little bit. Down at 3... He is... sorry, he's at 385, so he does have a victory point lead, so he's not particularly pressured insofar as time goes. So that is definitely something working for Wuff right now. He also has that second T-3485 that you just saw on the screen just now. Rifle grenade going to be connecting with these guards very nicely there. Yeah, he does have the second T-34, so he's actually committing pretty hard into these T-34s. And I'd just like to raise the question right now as the Panzer IV comes in for a little bit of support. I'd like to raise the question, right? Imagine if instead of this T-34 he built like an Su-85. Like, I'm not saying that's better or worse. I'd just like to... I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that would be better or worse for this second armored unit? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Katusha here going to take a barrage. There is an MG42 in the blast site, which is going to take a while to pack up and move. So it looks like Luciano just going to opt to continue firing with it. It takes a number of rockets and doesn't die, so quite lucky there for Luciano. Just a slightly different, dispersal pattern on those rockets would have led to its demise. But as it is, it will escape on very low health. Look at these LMG-42s cropping up on these grenadiers. Loving it. Seems like Luciano only buys them the LMG-42 once they hit 3 stars. It's like their reward or something. Anyway, a Stug going to be the second armoured unit of choice here for Luciano. Panzer IV moving up to the north to confront the Soviet medium tank. But I have to commend Wuff on his use of these medium tanks. I haven't seen him overcommit. I haven't seen him treat a T-34 as anything that's disposable, which, I mean, they are very cheap, weighing in at 80 fuel, but you cannot use them, recklessly, basically, unless you've got, 4 or 5 of them. You really can't afford to use them recklessly. They are a really good tank. They're very good all-rounders, and once they start vetting up, they become so much faster and more capable. So looking after your T-34s is a really good thing to do, and Wuff is handling that very nicely as we move. What are we now? Kind of just gone the 25-minute mark in this game, so firmly into the mid-game now, pretty much the late mid-game. We'll be approaching the late game soon. Luciano still yet to make a commander choice, so, he could go for the Blitzkrieg and bring on the command tank. He could go for the mechanized assault and get on the Tiger tank. The options are open for him. Wuff, let's see. I mean, he could start building ML-20s, actually, if he could save up the manpower. That would actually be moderately spicy. I actually wouldn't mind that, because he already has a Katusha, so that would give him, a considerable volume of indirect fire. That would be quite nice. These guards in the south looking to grab a fuel point, going to get suppressed by this MG-42. We've got skirmishing in the mid, in the north, and in the south right now, so a lot of action going on. Stug up here in the north, going to be supporting these grenadiers as they attempt to take back the fuel point. But there are 2 T-34s here, and actually it looks like the Soviet player Wuff setting up for a bit of a spit roast, perhaps, on this Stug. I don't believe he's actually scouted the Stug yet. This is a very risky move out with the T-34, but it doesn't look like he's going to get punished. I think Luciano just heard the T-34. Here it comes, bang, gonna get up right alongside this Stug. Uh-oh, this could very well be a dead Stug. There are no units here for support. The T-34 just gumming it up, and of course the T-34 has a turret, which enables it to spank this Stug. Looks like, oh, come on, he's got to stay for the Stug, surely. Smoke is going to get used, so Luciano picking a commander on the spot there in order to grab smoke and try and save this unit. A Pak-40's in the hood, and these grenadiers could get the snare onto this T-34. He's going to take one more shot. Oh no, a critical miss there for Wuff. That was the shot which should have killed the Stug, but it missed. Oh, and he's going to end up losing his T-34 for that. I think that was very unlucky. Very unlucky. I mean, very well handled for Luciano to take a Stug which is basically caught dead in the water and turn that into a Stug which is alive and a T-34 kill is awesome. But I don't think he could have done that without some significant bad luck there for Wuff. Oh, I do feel for the Soviet player a little bit there. Anyway, another Katusha barrage going to be coming down. Looks like the rocket dispersal pattern again. Again, going to spare this MG-34. Wow. Still sparing it. That is one lucky MG-42. Sorry. Wow. So the Stug's headed back to base. That's going to be repairing. Now the fight is just occurring in mid, so we'll keep the camera here for now. Panzer IV going to be the further lance here, going to come on in. 2 squads of grenadiers taking the middle VP and hooning on in with their MG-42s. Look at the amount of damage they put out. That is brutal. Oh wow, the T-34 was replaced, so there's a third T-34 on the field. That Panzer IV at the moment, whoa, looking to be a little bit outgunned, and he cannot get it buttoned. If it gets buttoned by these guards, that's probably a dead Panzer IV right now. And here come the T-34s. Stalin's lawnmowers coming on in. And there is a mighty and unruly crop of German forces that need mowing for sure, but wow. This Pat gun in a fantastic position. In fact, sorry, 2 Pat guns establishing a T-34 spit roast here, and that is brutal. Here comes the IL-2 on a strafing run, though, massacring the MG-42. The Panzer IV here has been hunted down, but there's a Stug in support. 2 very low. Oh my goodness! Panzer Tactician is used, and Luciano gets both T-34s for no losses to his own armoured forces. Absolute brutalment there. And I think Wuff there kind of committing with 2 T-34s into a bit of a bad fight. I mean, you never want to just drive into 2 Pat guns and a number of grenadiers with a Stug and a Panzer IV, even if the Stug and Panzer IV are weak and available to be killed. You know, like, that's a risk. I mean, that's a big risk, and as we can see here, didn't pay for the Soviet player. Command tank going to be joining the forces now for Luciano. 92 supply over 49. Credit where credit's due. Wuff has kept these guards alive very nicely. He's kept his conscripts alive pretty well as well. So decent veterancy over his forces, but he now just has the Katusha. He's got a lot of fuel though, so he can invest in additional armored units. And I have to say, right now, I really feel like the Su-85 would be the better choice. These T-34s, I haven't seen one of them really feel like it's kind of been a great choice, you know? Like, none of them have looked like very efficient units yet. Oh, he's going to go for another one. I don't know about this because, like, the first T-34 entered the field against a reasonable amount of anti-tank. Like, there was a pack gun, there were some grenadiers and things like that. And if you remember at the time, I said probably a Katusha would be a better choice. The second and third T-34s have entered the field with consistently more and more AT on the field for Luciano. I mean, now they're entering in the face of a Stug, a command tank, now there's 2 pack guns. You know, it's looking pretty bad as this command tank can full foul of some mines and an AT grenade here. But yeah, like, so I feel like it's been diminishing returns for each of these T-34s, and actually pretty much all of Luciano's units right now are back at the base reinforcing and repairing, so there is a window here perhaps for the Soviet player to get something done. But as I was saying, to return to my point, yeah, I think that these T-34s have just been like diminishing returns, and it would kind of be okay if Wuff had a T-34-85 commander, because, you know, then those are quite spicy units. Then you can really, you know, feel like you can bully around the T-30, you can bully the Panzer IVs, you can bully the Stug quite well. But he doesn't have access to the T-34-85, so for my money, I think he'd been better served getting Su-85, maybe even 2 of them, and 2 Katushas, definitely 2 Katushas, maybe 3. Like, but I just Katusha him out. This is a great map for the Katusha, a really good map for the Katusha, because you can fire it into most of the relevant portions of the map from very safe positions on your side of the map, just because of the way this map is laid out. So anyway, we've got a fight being taken here. Looks like Wuff going to be moving on out with the guards. T-34 here in support. Here comes a move out. Whoa, these grenadiers all on very low. It's almost like they didn't reinforce. I don't know why they're all so low, actually. All on 2 men. They're going to be moving on in, though. They've got a lot of veterancy and 3 LMG-42s. Okay, yeah. Luciano going to see them and call them back. He doesn't want to lose them. And the Katusha could take a shot here. IL-2 Sturmovik coming on in for another strafing run. The T-34 comes in from a nice angle, but there is a pack gun covering it. The Panzer IVs, plural. Whoa, this T-34! Now, you see, this is biting off too much. What is he ever going to get with a move like this? If he's very lucky, he might get out with the T-34, but I mean, that is very lucky. Oh, what? He's going to come around here and try for the Stug. Oh, dearie me. This just seems so risky. I mean, I suppose he saw all of the Grenadiers retreat, so he knows that he can't get Schracked. So, Fausted. So, you know, there's low danger on that front. This Panzer IV here going to use Blitz here in an attempt to see off the T-34, and somehow Luciano comes out of this with all of his armoured units still alive. Oh my... The mortar got the Stug. No way. No way. This mortar, 14 kills, 1 vehicle. Brutal. Oh my goodness. What? What? Okay, that's it. These guys can just officially rally themselves into the German players' base. They have now been efficient. There is no need for them to kill additional units. They have more than paid for themselves. They are heroes of the Soviet Union. And we all know women love heroes, so yeah, they can pretty much either go home or go to hell. Anyway, Katusha here taking a nice shot onto this kind of like repair base here, getting some actual damage onto the armor here, and forcing back a number of Axis units. And actually kind of the tables be a little bit of turning here. If I crack the tack, you can see a lot of the Axis units are falling back to reinforce. A lot of the Axis units are on low health, and there's a big Soviet wave coming in. A lot of units, well, some units at least, coming on in. So Wuffs might be able to get something done here. A second Panzer IV going to be the choice. And like a 4th T-34. I just don't think these T-34s do very well. Also, the other thing is, right, against a brand new, a green Panzer IV, the T-34 is reasonable. But once they get to 2-star, the Panzer IVs get a pretty hefty armor upgrade. And then the T-34s just, the cannon on them just doesn't really, it feels just a little bit too weedy to deal with the 2-star German medium. Lovely grenade here. Oh, doing a lot of damage. Those guards going up to 3 stars very nicely there. But yeah, I feel like with the longer this medium armor battle goes on, because the Axis armor gets a durability upgrade at 2 stars, and the Soviet armor gets no durability upgrades at any point in its veterancy, I think that the armor battle has to favour the Axis the longer it goes on. Another reason why I think continuing to invest in these T-34-85s, not the best idea for Wuffs. I'd love to see him go for an Su-85. I'd love to see him go for more Katyushas, because this Katyusha, honestly, It's only got 2 kills. It doesn't have much veterancy, but I think he's also been quite unlucky with the barrages on that. There's a DPLMG on the floor here, I've just noticed as well, so a potential pickup from the players there. Anyway, here comes the Panzer Army. 3 Panzer IVs on the field now, including 1 command tank. Gonna see off this T-34-85. Another one's gonna come on in from the flank here, but I don't think that's gonna be enough to break these Panzer IVs, not by half. So the first level of veterancy does nothing for the Soviet tanks. I mean, it unlocks secure mode, so that's kind of rubbish. Veterancy 2, battle-hardened crews gain control over the vehicle's main gun, so that's pretty good. And veterancy 3, faster and greater rate of fire again. Okay. Yeah, so a 3-star T-34 is, you know, pretty good, but it's nowhere near as good as a 3-star Panzer IV. Oh my god, that GR-34, after 35 minutes into this game, has 32 kills, was that? Or 22. 22 or 30, I think it was 22 kills. It started falling back, but that's pretty good. Whoa, okay, so a decent Katyusha barrage, going to find some kills on the bridge here, picking up another 6 infantrymen and a level of veterancy, so finally finding a good barrage there. Looks like he managed to get one of the MG42s, that is here. Oh, did he get the GR-34? He got the GR-34! Oh, that's crucial, as I was just praising its veterancy and how much damage it had been doing. Yeah, so he gets 2 squads there with that Katyusha barrage, and that's the kind of thing that starts turning battles at this stage in the game for the Soviets. You know, when you're playing with very fragile, very small 4-man squads as the Wehrmacht forces, it's almost impossible to prevent yourself from... Oh, some mines here. Almost impossible to prevent yourself from losing units just here and there from like the amount of just splash damage and AoE and just like barrages that the Soviet forces have access to. The Soviet forces really do just have this kind of additional aura of just constant explosive things being thrown at your face, you know? Zis gun barrages, mortar barrages, gun howitzers, Katyushas, Su-75 barrages, like just all of the Soviet army just has like this kind of like little extra benefit of being able to lob indirect fire stuff at your opponents, like way more than any other army. So it can be quite fraught microing against this stuff, especially when you play as Wehrmacht. Like, you'll constantly feel like you're just saving your units from death, like constant like death raining in from the sky. It can be really disheartening as well when you lose 3-star vetted squads to like what feels like random shells landing in, you know? It is harrowing. They've captured that quite nicely. That is one aspect of war. Oh, you see, look, there's mortar. Oh, see, a 4-man squad of grenadiers, 3 of them die to a mortar, and a split second later, another one dies to the guard squads. And once you start losing your core infantry, you know, things come undone very quickly. And he's down to, what, 3 grenadier squads and an MG and some pioneers and 3 Panzer IVs. This army for Luciano has been cut down to size, and for pretty much the first time this game, it feels like the Soviet player has quite a supply lead. Another Katyusha barrage coming in a little bit close to his own guards there. Yeah, the Soviet player has quite a supply lead now. Actually, you know what? It just shrunk, but it's still there because the unit just finished for the Axis player. But yeah. So he's actually ahead in that regard. Here come the T-34s just probing. They're going to find a pretty weak Panzer IV command tank here, which has to retreat, surely. No, it's going to pop smoke. Okay, now it's going to retreat. The T-34s are going to come on in, but here come the other 2 Panzer IVs in support. Now we've got a proper medium armor battle. This looks quite exciting here. One of the T-34s gets hit by a Faust, and I think the Soviet forces are going to choose discretion as the better part of valor here. Going to respect the Panzer forces, the Panzer IV forces. The forceful Panzer IV forces. Use the force, you forceful Panzer IV forces. And yeah, so the T-34 is very nice kiting, very nice unit control here. Oh my god, these Panzer IVs at 2-star vet just have the... Do they get like a weapon tracking upgrade here? Improved weapon tracking, yeah they do. Damn. Yeah, Panzer IV's veterancy is just worth so much more than Soviet vehicle veterancy. It's just night and day almost on those units. Nice grenade coming through here from those guards. I think unlucky not to clear out that pack gun there. And he needs to clear that pack gun, and he's not going to. That's crucial. I think if that pack gun would have died, these T-34s would have felt a lot more safe to come on in. Speaking of pack guns, one has been looted by the Soviet forces here, and that's covering a very relevant area of map. But look at all these Panzer IVs. They can't really come into a fight here. because of this pack gun. And look, the infantry can't really come in to clear it because the T-34s are here. And one thing T-34s do have going for them over Panzer IVs is that they are slightly better against infantry. Without the pintle-mounted MG42, they're a lot better, but that pintle-mounted MG42 goes a long way towards redressing the balance. Actually, that's one thing which in the patch coming this month. Coming this month to Company of Heroes 2 near you. Patch for balance. But seriously, yeah, the machine guns on the T-34s are being made a lot more deadly against infantry, so I think after the patch the T-34s are going to feel like totally, you know, like a lot better against infantry. Anyway, this mortar here, you can still hear it just like tonking away. It's just doing so much damage. I'd love to... he's going up to 4 T-34s. Wuff! What is your beef, mate? Are you just some T-34 fanboy? What? Are you, what? This is crazy. He needs more Katyushas. Like, I don't see how a 4th T-34 adds that much more value to this army. Like, But, okay, I mean, it's his game. He can play it however he wants. But I just think, like, I think an Su-85... Because when you've got when you've got 3 T-34s to act as, like, an armoured vest for your Su-85, that is, like, really hard for Panzer IVs to take down an Su-85 in those circumstances, you know? Because if they commit in, they're committing into a tank destroyer, which has, you know, a number of medium tanks, like, orbiting it for defense. That's really hard. And, like, you know, Panzer IVs are very, you know, you cannot lose them. Because the veterancy is worth so much and because they're more expensive than the Soviet medium armor, every Panzer IV that's destroyed is a much bigger swing. Losing a T-34, it's a big swing for sure, but you can sustain it as the Soviet forces, whereas losing a Panzer IV for the Axis forces can be backbreaking. I mean, it feels very bad. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, remember as well, I mean, how much is a Panzer IV these days? 125 fuel. It is 125 fuel, yeah. So, I mean, it's like more than 50% more fuel intensive than a T-34 to build. The T-34s are just 80. So, yeah, losing a Panzer IV really, really stings, doubly so because of how much their veterancy is worth and how much longer it takes them to get it. Anyway, here come those Panzer IVs. They are pretty much all repaired. They're pretty much all ready to rock. Looks like they're going to be clocking on in here. T-34 is going to be kiting nicely, and again I have to commend Wuff on his awareness and his micro with these tanks. Like, apart from the ones that he lost early on, like the first 3 T-34s, which is actually quite a lot, but the ones which he just kind of threw in and lost, these ones he's being much more careful with, using them to form, like if I crack the tack, you can see, using them to form like a line across the map here, which he's just constantly bringing backwards and forwards to exploit the Axis as and when he feels able to do so. So he kites back when it's not a good time to take a fight, and he pushes in when it is a good time to fight. But I have to say again, if this is your fighting style, an Su-85, because it has focused vision and because it has a long line of sight, just like is a force multiplier in this case. You know, it forces the Axis player to either exclude his armor from the fight altogether, in which case he will lose, or it forces him to try and come into a fight, because otherwise you'll just use focused sight and keep taking cheeky, you know, snipe shots at his Panzer IVs and working them down and just getting damage and vetting up your Su-85, and you know, that's not a sustainable situation for the Axis player. You know, the onus is on him to disrupt that pattern of play. But as things are, it's kind of, you know, evenly. You know, the Axis player is just fine sitting back with his Panzer IVs and using them as and when the situation demands. So, moral of the story here, I mean, Wuff is floating a lot of fuel and getting up to enough manpower. Katyusha barrage going to come in. The first couple of rockets do find this 3-star MG42. Next salvo is going to miss, and I believe the MG42 is going to make it out of there, and it does. So that's pretty nice for Luciano here. Okay, now here come the T-34s. This is going to be a big fight. 4 of them coming in. The Panzer IVs are here. They begin to kite back. There are Grenadiers here on support for Faust. Let's move the camera here so we can fit everything in. I would love for a T-34 to have come in from a slightly different angle, and I feel like they're not all firing right now, so that is favouring Luciano. But still, decent damage is being done. Pack gun at the back, though, going to be a kingmaker in this fight. Already picks off 1 T-34, and now the T-34s have to feel very, very vulnerable. This one at the front taking a number of hits. The pack gun is going to get 1 more shot. Bang, there it is. But it's not enough to bring down this medium tank. That will be, though. And the Panzer IVs here eating up 2 more of the T-34s. And I think this kind of a fight, if you want to make that kind of push out with T-34s, it's fine as long as you've got an Su-85 parked here plinking down your opponent's armor, because then he would have picked up a Panzer IV, pick up a Panzer IV for sure. And I don't know, like, maybe he's just clearing out some supply, so now he can call in an Su-85? Please? Please? I really think Wuff needs to diversify his forces here. I think we've proven that T-34s alone are not getting this job done. Oh, he stands to lose this poor conscript. Wow! That conscript, luckiest conscript ever. Bullets and explosions flying all around him. Damn, that is like something out of an action film, you know? I'm surprised he didn't stop and walk slowly and like throw a Zippo lighter over his shoulder and it like catches onto a trail of fuel which leads to each Panzer IV and blows them up, and he's just like, yeah, that's how I roll. And I also have like an Austrian accent for some reason, even though I'm Soviet. What the hell? Magpie, seriously, sort me out here. Anyway, T-34, gonna go down here. Panzer IV is gonna bite off another one. Oh my god, he's buying more T-34s. Luciano is wiping the floor with these T-34s. I think purchasing more is a plan with a serious flaw. That is the Magpie rhyme which describes Wuff's particular crime in this scenario. End of rhyme. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I approve of these T-34s, to be honest. But, you know what, though? Sometimes you just like a unit, and you build it even though you know it's bad, because either you think you're quite good at it, you're very used to using it, or you just want to play with that unit. I myself am guilty of this with Panther tanks. I have built Panther tanks in some pretty dire circumstances when Panther tanks are the wrong choice. But I just like Panther tanks, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, here's my Panther tank, whee, now I get to play with it. So maybe Wuff is just a, you know, a T-34 man. Maybe his granddad or his great-granddad was a T-34 engineer / driver. Maybe he has T-34 wallpaper and duvets. Maybe, you know, he's cheering for T-34s in the Euros this year. Maybe he's going to vote T-34 in the referendum that's coming up. That's a pretty British issue. For those of you who don't know, we're having a referendum on whether to stay in the Euro or not, which I'm not going to talk about now. But, yeah, maybe he's just a real T-34 aficionado. Maybe on the yearly, on the census, he puts down T-34 as his established religion. Maybe he just wants more T-34 in his life. And that he has certainly done. Maybe this is his like recommended daily allowance of T-34 that he is using up here. Okay, anyway, here comes a Katyusha barrage. These 3-star grenadiers are in danger, so Luciano just going to move them back to a slightly more safe location here where they're still capturing the middle VP. T-34 going to commit in here, but that seems insanely risky. There's a pack gun and a ton of panzers here. What is this T-34 ever going to do? I think he was kind of lucky to get that one out, to be honest. The other T-34 had no interest in joining. Clearly the female T-34 captain, much more sensible. What is this T-34 doing? Oh, it's going for a ram, really? Okay, the ram actually connects, but he loses that T-34 for a ram, which is like, it just doesn't seem that good. Doesn't seem that good. If he had a Katyusha barrage ready to go here now, that would be great. But I don't think he does. Nope, far from. And instead of all these T-34s, he could have quite happily had like 2-3 T-34s, an Su-85 and 2 Katyushas. Oh no. Oh no, the Stuka close air support comes on in here. Those heavy 37mm cannons make mincemeat of medium armor, and that's what we see happen. The final T-34 is picked off here for Wuff. Luciano's air force, his armored divisions and his infantry coming together nicely here. But he is behind on VPs, 192 under 232. But I mean, look at the army supply, 85 over 46. I mean, ouch. And a Panzerwerfer. I didn't see that one sneak onto the field. A Panzerwerfer going to be the choice here. Oh, wow. So this just in. Turns out the Wehrmacht player has teched on up to the Heavy Panzer Corps. Here it is. So, wow, Panzerwerfer. Seems like a sweet choice. That's going to enable him to have a considerable amount of control over where his enemy, where Wuff's infantry can go. And also it's going to enable him to defend these capture points if he's able to get them much better. Katusha going to be used here to force back some infantry, but nothing to write home about there. Finally, an Su-85 is being selected by Wuff, but here's the problem with an Su-85 now. There aren't the T-34s to orbit it and provide, like, the armoured screen, you know, like the ablative vest for this Su-85. So now this Su-85 can just be overrun by a trio of Panzer IVs, you know? Like, they can literally just drive in, gank it, and then drive out again, pretty much. There's just not enough AT for the Soviet player. I mean, I do like the Su-85. I think it's very good. And if this is the first of a brace of Su-85s, if he's going to go for a second one, yeah, then that's feasible. But this Su-85 at this timing is going to be so much less impactful than an Su-85 about 10 minutes ago. This mortar, though, consistently doing epic work. 26 kills. And a vehicle, which was that Stargate kill. That was pretty spicy. I think the Spice Award for this game has to go to this mortar squad. They've just been consistently hooning away. Look at him go. I wonder how much vodka you can fit in a mortar tube. Anyway, Supply sector under attack. Sorry, I just muted myself there to clear my throat. So now we've got this Panzer IV. Delivering damage, hooning on in. The Su-85 is here though, and in a nice position. Bang! Wow! Bouncing. Oh, that's pretty unlucky. I mean, I guess until it vets up, it's pretty... Oh no, the Panzerwerfer takes a smooth barrage here. Gonna abuse down these Soviet units. They are on the retreat now, firmly. Wuff here doesn't really have that much manpower to spend his fuel, and he needs to... I would say it would be nice for him to get some more infantry, because... I mean, he's only got 2 squads of engineers, 2 squads of guards. That's not that much. It's amazing, though, because if you look at the resource differential, that's been the story pretty much this whole game. Let me crack the tack. Like, this pretty much has been the division of the map the whole game. Luciano has held about a third of the map, and Wuff has held a lot more. And, that's immediately... please, let me preempt anyone who's about to comment, lol, 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 imbalanced, Axis forces too good, please buff Soviets. That's not what this is about at all. Wuff has had tons of fuel to make any unit choices that he felt like, and in my opinion, he has not chosen the optimal units. So there's a lot more to this than, oh my god, more powerful faction beats less powerful faction. That's not what I'm going on about at all. And also, to Luciano's credit, you know, he's looked after these Panzer IVs very well. They all have a lot of veterancy. They're all at 2 stars, but they all have the armoured skirts. That's so big. He's taken a lot of savvy fights. His army composition, I mean, have you heard me criticising it? No. He's chosen his units very smartly. As a Katusha barrage going to be coming in here. The Su-85 gets stunned. Here come the Panzer IVs, and this is the problem. Without the T-34s to keep the Panzer IVs back, the Su-85 can just get ganked. Yep. So the Panzer IVs just drive in, take that one out. And I believe that was probably the last ray of hope for Wuff in this game. And it's a shame as well, actually. He almost had enough money here to buy a second Su-85. And it's not like he's running low on VPs either. In fact, it's Luciano who's running low on VPs. So if Wuff was just a bit more patient with that Su-85, I don't think it had any business being here. This is too risky of a location. It can get attacked from here, and it's very easy for the Panzer IVs to come from here. This is not a long way for them to drive to kill it. A much more safe place for the Su-85 is probably going to be here or here, where it can use its focus sight, and you can just nudge it forward to take a shot, nudge it back, nudge it forward, take a shot, nudge it back. And if the Axis player if you hear all those engines firing up, and if you see those Panzer IVs coming, you just back it up over the bridge, back it up over the ice if you want, as long as you do it soon enough. And jobs are good, but this is too far forward for me. I mean, again, it's easy for me to say that as Caster Magoo up here. I can see everything going on, but that would be... yeah, so he's going to go for another Su-85. And again, this would be so much more powerful if it just had some ablative T-34s or a buddy, another Su-85 to team up with. But he doesn't have that luxury. So anyway, do we see a Katusha barrage coming down? No, not yet, but it'll probably come down shortly to hoon down this position. I believe the IL-2 there just picked down these grenadiers, so that's a nice pickup there for Wuff. And I mean, Wuff does have some time to work with. I don't think this game is like super over, but Wuff is definitely behind right now. He is in the soup, and he is in need of a silver spoon. Wuff, I love this troll build. Ha! Oh, this is pretty cool. We get the chat now in replays. When has this been a thing? Oh, wicked. Okay, anyway, so T-34s. Ha! Alright, there we go. So Wuffs is just, as I was saying earlier, PPSH's T-34s, best for trolling, love it. So it looks like Wuff just wanted to play this build. It's just something he enjoys. He's a happy man right now, and so that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, we don't all play like, you know, Iron Man machines, hell-bent on winning at all costs. Some of us have playstyles that we prefer and enjoy more. Some of us like to come out of the game having had a laugh. Wuff clearly among those men, so absolutely more power to him. That is awesome. Do you know what my personal preferred troll build is? Volksgrenadiers. Nothing but Volksgrenadiers. Just build the Volksgrenadiers. Put Shreks on all of them. Go up to like 10, 11 squads of Volksgrenadiers. Volk them down. They got MGs, throw the incendiaries. They got infantry, use the rifles. They got armor, use the Shreks. Volksgrenadiers all day, every day. That's the Magpie troll build. It's not very good, by the way. That's not a recommendation. Do not use the Magpie troll build. Anyway, let's see. We got a little fight going to be developing here, but this vetted up Axis infantry actually kind of getting burninated pretty badly. Luciano, here we go. He's going to have to give way to that Flamer squad a little bit there. MG42, though, in a very nice position. Where's the Su-85? See, it really kind of wants to be about here. I think this is a strong position for it. He's going to move it out just now. Panzerwerfer gets used, and it finds the mortar squad, but does not kill it. The hero mortar squad lives on. Epic times. Epic times for the Soviet army there. 91 supply over 55, though. Deary me. But these Panzer IVs almost represent insurmountable force, you know? Like, actually, if he just drives these Panzer IVs into his opponent's base, Luciano could win. I'm sure, I mean, that's a very risky play. Even if he's aware of this option, he may not fancy it because it is very risky. And why roll the dice when you're doing so well? But, it's there. It's an option. There's a DP LMG here, actually. Is he going to go for it? Oh, he wants it. He gets it. Oh, and then loses it. Oh, and the Katusha comes in. Oh, picks off the Grenadier squad. Very nice rocket there. And a Stug going to be the next weapon of choice. So definitely a very medium armor battle this one has been. Yep, quite the medium armor battle indeed. Here comes the Su-85. I don't mind it being here, but if he goes past, like, here with it, that's danger. This building here is absolutely crucial. This is a very nice building to have. Oh my god, this thing just keeps rolling misses. Oh my goodness, this Su-85 cannot get a hit to save its life here. Uh-oh, he's going to come forwards with it. It's so dangerous. Okay, finally he gets a nice hit, but now the pack gun can fire at it. This is so dangerous. Go back, go back. Okay, he does go back. Gotta be careful with it. Gotta be careful. And now he's got nothing protecting it. This is an unsupported Su-85. Okay, yeah, Wuff is going to retreat it out, and I do like this. Look how slow these things are. Oh, of course, that's because he was on focus sight mode. Now he's taken that off. Okay, I don't particularly like going up to the north, and I especially don't like turning it around like this. Got to be so careful. Hemorrhaging a couple of squads. I believe that was some engineers maybe that went down. Katusha here finds some nice hits though. He's probably going to get this pack gun. Yep, going to get the pack gun. Also a little bit of damage on the Command Panzer IV, so that's quite nice. The Stug is going to come forward though. I think it's looking for the Katusha, but the Katusha is long gone. Nice try there though. Hang on a second, what? The Hero Mortar Squad is alive? Wow, okay, 34 kills on that unit. Damn. Okay, now surely the Panzerwerfer is going to get it. Surely. No! Oh my goodness, Hero Mortar Squad for the win. Let's take a look at the VPs here. It's 122 for Luciano, 172 for Wuff, who's bleeding out of 1 ticket per tick right now. The Soviet army just taking some time here to rest and reinforce. The Katusha now on 16 kills, 2 stars of vet. I believe that does increase rate of fire. Yes, it does. So this Katusha should be firing a little more often now. What a spicy unit this thing is. Very simple. Very cheap to make. Very effective. Oh, and it's going to take some shots now. And they are landing way back here. That seems like a bit of a miss, actually. Clearly, here would have been better, although, you know, obviously Wuff wouldn't have known that. Ooh, these grenadiers, they've got a wow, what do you call the Soviet one? The Soviet AT rifle? It's a, it is a PTRS, that's it, PTRS. Sudden memory blank there. I mean, another Su-85 is now on the queue. The first oh no, the first Su-85 has its back up against a wall. Oh no, the Panzer IVs could come in if they really want to. Oh no! Oh, the Stuka of Justice. The Stukas of Justice come in and smite down the Su-85. Wow. I was just about to say, there's another Su-85 on the field. This means that he might actually get up to 2 of them and finally achieve that crucial Su-85 tag team, or, you know, something like that. Lol, I think I need sound to hear that plane. Oh dear, Wuff here playing without sound, perhaps. Wow, coming past the hour mark for this game as well. But I think the Soviet player, I mean, he's just in a really bad spot, isn't he? Let's crack the tack and just take a little bit of an overview here. I mean, he's rearming all of his units right now, is the Soviet player. They're all reinforcing. The Su-85, you can just hear it driving on now. The Axis player has a pretty inassailable strong point here. 3 Panzer IVs, supported by a Panzerwerfer with 2 MG42s and assorted infantry. Not bad. That's going to enable him to hang tight here, and he's even actually going to send some grenadiers to capture the northern VP and possibly put Wuff out of his misery a touch early here, which I think is a really good idea. You know, you're ahead. Why give the Soviet player time to claw their way back into this game? And, you know, Soviets are a faction which, especially against Wehrmacht, all it takes is like 1 good Katyusha barrage, and in these circumstances it would have to be a very good Katyusha barrage, but it could still happen. It doesn't take much. Like, if you kill the Pioneers with a Katyusha barrage, the armor can't repair. Then you can pressure in with PTRS guards and an Su-85, and your opponent has to withdraw their armor from mid. If your opponent withdraws their armor from mid, that means that you're basically back in this game as the Soviets. So, you know, I can totally see why Wuff isn't GGing. He's definitely miles behind, but he's totally not out of this. Whoa, these guards going to get out of there on just a pixel of health. Katyusha barrage coming down in a fantastic location, and also here comes the IL-2. Going to take some big chunks out of the Stug, going to mow down a lot of crewmen on the MG42 before crashing into the frozen lake here, spectacularly so. Dem cinematics. But Luciano here just content to be kiting. A lot of his Panzer IVs, oh my goodness, they're just so vetted up. So intimidating. He's actually taking quite a lot of damage on that 3-star one though. The Su-85 doing a lot of work. Up to a star of veterancy already, which is nice. And this pack gun is doing its best to eat it down, but it's not doing enough. The Hero Mortar Squad is going to be plinking the pack gun, I hope. And here comes a Panzer IV command tank to chase. Luciano thinks better of it though, and he's going to pull that one back. Panzerwerfer going to find this mortar again, but like for the 3rd consistent barrage, fail to kill. And the mortar is going to take out the pack gun. And that's not nothing. That's actually like one less thing that can keep that Su-85 at bay. The command tank surely is going to kill the Hero Mortar Squad. Surely. Yeah, there they go. Finally the Hero Mortar Squad going to go down for the Soviet player here. And I believe a Pioneer Squad there just going down for Luciano, who's going to replace it with 3 more. Look at this, but queuing up 3 more. He knows if he loses his Pioneers, this is over. As I was saying earlier. Well, not over, but he's in a really bad way. Now, 1 squad of his Pioneers are here trying to reinforce. They're on 1 man. The other squad of Pioneers are falling back. Oh, what the? Nope, they're just gone. Okay, so this is his only squad of Pioneers. Now a fresh one arriving. So yeah, Luciano realizes the value of his Pioneers well in advance. He's going to bring in enough Pioneers to cover himself nicely. He has the triple cap established. Wuff now down at 35 tickets, under 122. Not much the Soviet player can do. Not much time to do it in. And after what I have to say is one of the longest medium armor battles I've seen in this game for some time, I believe Luciano is going to emerge victorious. Oh my goodness! The Su-85 is here! The 3-star Panzer IV! Ah, there could be an attack round! It is not going to be forthcoming. I thought that the 3-star Panzer IV was going to fall for a moment there. 50 kills on that bad boy. Oof. Grenade going to find this pack gun. Biff, going to kill that one as well. That's quite nice. So Wuff's still making stuff happen. Actually, he's decapped mid, so he's now bleeding at 2. He's sent some forces to the north. Oh, but they're getting manhandled by the Grenadiers. Nice try. He's going to send some forces to the... Oh, no, he's not. Okay, so he takes back 1 VP. This means he's now bleeding at 1 VP per tick. Panzerwerfer are going to take some barrages here. Find some guards who try to fall back and will. Another T-34 on the field. Or rather, being constructed. But 6 VPs. Looks like Wuff's here might be in for the slow bleed here. Because I don't think he can get an infantry squad to either of these VPs and decap them in time to not die here. So I believe this game is concluded. Wow. Quick, use Oorah, which you totally don't have on guards. Oorah! Okay, it's not going to happen. And that is going to be game, just like that. Boom! A fantastic win there for Luciano after 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 28 seconds of medium armor havoc, I think is the correct word to say there. But Luciano consistently very disciplined with his armor, never overstepped the mark with even a single Panzer IV. Only lost, what, 1 Stug, and that to a fairly unlucky mortar hit, I think. Remember earlier in the game he was able to save a Stug in this location by, like, just against a T-34 that had it cold, you know, so... Just a very good game, and I have to say I agree with all of his unit choices. They all looked very savvy. There was never a time where I was like, why is he building this unit? That kind of doesn't make any sense. Or, you know, like, oh, I wish he'd do this or something like that. Didn't really have that in this game. So yeah, congratulations to Luciano on a very nicely played game there, and a very well won win. For Wuff, I'm loving the troll build, buddy. I am loving the troll build. PPSHs and T-34 spam. Always good times. Possibly this is a very bad map for it, I would say. To have done as well as he did with a pre-locked in spam strat, not so bad. And here's a tip for you, Wuffs. Players over command, build Volksgrenadiers. Put Shreks on them. You don't have long left to do this. In fact, everybody out there, the Company of Heroes 2 community at large, play over command, build Volksgrenadiers, put Shreks on them, because you won't be able to do that much longer. The Shreks being fired by Volksgrenadiers right now are among the final Shreks being fired by Volksgrenadiers in Company of Heroes 2 history, except for, I guess, salvaged Shreks. But anyway. So, yeah, I believe that concludes this battle. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Thank you very much for tuning in, and for now, this is Magpie842 signing out.